Alright, a little introductory music for an introduction video for the class of Precalculus here at Odyssey. I'm Mr. Turner. I'm going to be your instructor, and I have a few things listed here that I want to go over that kind of introduces the class to you and kind of explains what your responsibilities are and what your expectations are, or at least my expectations of you. Precalculus, is, as the name would indicate, is a class to prepare for calculus. If you're in 9th, 10th, or 11th grade, you can take calculus next year upon completion and understanding of Precalculus. We offer AP Calculus here. But if you're a senior, then you'll be looking to take calculus perhaps as a freshman in college, which is what I did. It also is to set up to kind of dig deeper into some of the algebra topics and concepts that you studied in your algebra classes, and also to emphasize the study of trigonometry. We will have 3 chapters of trigonometry. You get a little bit of it in your Algebra 2 class, but we're going to go into much more detail because you need trigonometry in calculus, especially second semester calculus. Alright, now here's some suggestions for success. They're pretty much typical of just about every class. The first one says to stay current. That means stay caught up. Don't fall behind. Don't fall a week behind or 2 weeks behind. Students do that, it seems like, much too often, and then struggle with the newer topics and the newer concepts, and then are trying to rush at the end to get everything done and really don't get a good understanding of it, because I want you to learn the material. Notice here, learn the material. Here I am. Here I am. Learn the material. What I mean by learning the material doesn't mean just to be able to complete the assignments and get those turned in using Google and equation solving websites and Desmos for graphs and factoring. There are so many different websites out there that make it real easy to answer questions but not really understand why those are the answers. In fact, there are websites out there that you can find, in many cases, the solutions to the problems for a lot of different textbooks. If you depend on that, you're not going to learn the material. And typically, I can figure out what is your understanding and what is somebody else's understanding, and it puts you at risk of getting zeros on assignments and on tests. And it's happened in the past. So don't Odyssey learn it. Learn the material. You may have to memorize some things. You may have to do above and beyond what the assignment might be to get a good understanding of that. And of course, ask questions when you're not sure, because that's what I'm here for, is to help you with that. Now, there's different approaches to studying Precalculus. You can use the textbook, which is online. Of course, the textbook explains it. It's a little dry. There are examples worked out for you. I also have notes built right into the class, as well as example problems built into the class itself, and example problems into the notes themselves, into the actual notes. And then I've made up instructional videos. Some sections have 1 or 2 videos, some sections might have 5 or more videos, depending on how long the section is. So you can use the instructional videos. I try to keep them concise, but there's a lot of material being discussed. This is a college level textbook, so they don't just kind of spoon feed you. They jump right into it with both feet. So you have to make sure that you're using these approaches to help you. And of course, you're asking questions when you're unsure. There are also practice problems at the end of each section right from the book. And the answers to the odd ones are in the back of the book, or they're listed as far as one of the textbook options. And so you can kind of check your work to see if you're doing them right, because if you're doing the practice problems, the odd number problems right, you're going to most likely be doing the even number problems right, which are where I make my assignments from, the even numbered problems. So make sure that you really try hard to learn the material. It might take some extra time doing practice problems. It might mean asking more questions. It might mean coming in on another day to get some extra help. But practice, practice, practice. Now, the first chapter is a review of some of the algebra topics that you'll remember from Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. I have all the assessments for each section from the review chapter here as multiple choice, it's all online. You'll do your work right online, including the end of chapter assessment. You can't do the chapter test unless you've done all the assignments leading up to the chapter test in that chapter. And after the first chapter, it's not going to be done and graded for you automatically, because you're going to be doing your work on paper from chapter 1? I think it's chapter 1, because this is called, the first chapter is chapter R for review. From chapter 1 on through, you're going to have assignments, anywhere from 5 to maybe 15 problems, all even numbered problems, and you're going to show all your work. You're going to put it on paper nice and neat. You're going to show your work. You're going to show your graphs. You're going to draw your graphs out properly. You're going to use a ruler to help you with that. You're going to use graph paper to help you with graphs. When we get to polar graphs, you're going to use polar graph paper. You're not going to just slop it down, because if you slop it down, you're going to lose points. You have to take a little pride in your work to make sure not only is it correct, but that it's legible and it's complete. So you're going to turn your assignments into me on paper. Now, when you hand in your assignments, you can hand them in to me personally, or you can take images of them, attach them to an email, as long as I can read it, that is, and send them to me that way. That way you don't have to necessarily make an extra trip if you don't get everything turned in on your day that week. I would suggest that you make sure that you prepare for each assignment, and that goes back to here by using some of these approaches here. The notes, again, show you not only all the information in the section, but also show you good examples, and they're the same kinds of examples that you see that are worked out in the instructional videos. The practice problems also help you get ready so that you just don't jump and start doing problems. I see students do that all the time. Typically you would expect that in a lower level class, but the students want to get the work out of the way and get it over with, that they don't emphasize the learning, they just want to emphasize the completing. And somehow they think that completing the assignment means you've learned the material. And that's not typically the case. It could be the case if you have that special kind of memory. But the tests become available after all the chapter assignments are submitted and graded. You must have a minimum score. It's not an extremely high minimum score, but you just can't slop something down, turn something in, and expect the test to become available. You can't jump ahead to the test, even though the tests are worth more points than each of the assignments. And let me emphasize academic integrity. Academic integrity means that you're not cheating. You're not letting somebody cheat off of you, and you're not cheating off of somebody. You're not giving your passwords to your Moodle account to somebody so that they can look off of that, or they can find your emails that you attached assignments to, and that type of a deal. Students lost credit. In fact, this last semester, I had to give more than a few zeros out to students that fell behind and tried to get it all done by taking a shortcut and cheating off of somebody else. In some cases, the person that allowed them to cheat was aware of it. In some cases, it wasn't aware. Also, they were referring to websites that have solutions, but they students write stuff down that they don't understand. So when I question them, they don't know what they're doing. They can make up some excuse. Oh, my tutor showed me this, or my dad showed me this, but he didn't really explain it and such. Well, who gets the points then? The tutor, your dad, okay, some website? You've got to understand it. Otherwise, how can I give you credit? And one way that I'm going to make sure that you're staying current and that you're staying caught up and that you are doing your work is that you will get occasionally a quiz in class. It might not be a very long quiz, but you'll do it in class on paper, without a textbook, without your phone, without a computer, without your notebook. You're just going to work it out for me. And if you've been practicing problems, you should be able to do that. So it's important that you stay caught up. It's important that you do your own work. It's important that you ask questions. And of course, it's always important in a math class to practice, practice, practice. And we want you to be successful in this class. We want you to be ready for calculus. And again, always know that if you're having difficulty, you can come to me and I can help you with it. Or at least I'll certainly try to help you with it. Best of luck with this class.